It's your boy Marlo putting out this track. Two lovebirds, Ashy Slashy and Liam Greywolf. In the world of streams, where friendships intertwine, two streamers unite, Ashy and Liam this time. Ashy Slashy, with the heart so kind, and Liam Greywolf, love in their eyes they find. They met on Twitch through the raid of a day. Liam enchanted, couldn't stay away. He asked Ashy out with the courage so great. In the world of Fortnite, they sealed their fate. Ashy sees in Liam a bond so strong, a love that's respectful where they both belong. He's caring, he's loving, their heart takes flight. Together they stream each and every night. In the world of gaming, they found their groove. Two souls in love, and it's easy to prove. With laughter and joy, they light up the screen. Ashy and Liam, a perfect streaming dream. On CCL TV, they built their domain, the channel of love, where their friendship remains. Liam's the wolf, leading their loyal pack. With Ashy by your side, there's nothing they lack. Left 4 Dead, Call of Duty, and Fast they play. In virtual worlds, side by sides they'll slay. But it's more than just gaming, as Ashy can see. Liam's super supportive, a friend full of glee. He's down to earth with a heart open wide, caring for all. By his side they'll ride. In the world of streaming, they found their place. At CCL TV, love leaves its trace. So here's to Ashy and Liam, may your love always grow as you conquer the world with each game and blow. With respect and love, a bond that's so true. In the streaming world, you're the dream come true, right? Alright, yeah, I just wanna give all my love out to Ashy Slashy, Liam Greywolf, City Country Love TV. That's where the real love is. I'm just showing some love for my peoples. And we out.
All right, we live.
We are live, definitely.
Welcome back to episode 2 of our podcast. Adjusted our image a little bit. I'm liking it, liking the name tags.
Yeah, I got rid of the other ones because I thought these ones stood out a little bit better.
So today's topic is about long distance relationships, and I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there that can relate in some form or fashion. It could be even long distance friendships could be categorized in this. There are different types of long distance relationships. Could be that you guys met online, that you met and person moved to a different city. What other scenarios can we think about as far as long distance relationships?
Um,
I think he's trying to not cough.
yeah.
Sorry.
So I was trying to think of things that we could make some bullet points on, but my mind's kind of drawing with blank today. I think if we just kind of do like a brief synopsis, and then we can kind of like dazzle into a little bit of our long-term thing, and then we can kind of just, I don't know, open up the floor, kind of just talk about different things or whatever.
Yeah, you're still.
My mic is still messing up.
Yeah, it's still like drowning you down some when you're talking. I don't know if it's you're getting too low for your mic to pick up or what, but it is coming down a little bit. So as we said in episode 1, our long distance was met me through my stream. and we started talking through Discord, which isn't a personal social media. I guess with any social media, you can be whoever you say you want to be. Like, it doesn't mean that you're really that person. So it's definitely a gamble when you meet someone online and try to do a relationship with them.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It can be a definite challenge, especially in today's society. Because I mean, you're basically trusting this person. You don't know from a hole in the wall, obviously. Um, I mean, they made that whole, catfish term because of this. You know what I mean? To be honest.
Well, they made a multi-million dollar show out of catfishing.
Yeah, because it's a legit thing. Um, I'm trying to think on the fly here. I'm really like, um, my brain's fried today.
So I guess what we could say, sometimes there's pros and cons to this kind of scene. Um, for people that feel like meeting people online and dating that way, um, I don't know. It's like some people just prefer to do that versus meeting people face to face, and some people may live in towns or cities where they don't feel comfortable meeting people from that area. Got nothing.
I literally am like a deer in headlights today. Sorry, chat, if y'all are listening. Um, I I think I'm gonna try to explain it in a way of how I experienced it. Um, gotta give me a minute here because I gotta think about how I'm gonna pitch it. Um,
All right, I guess I'll start. He can't form coherent sentences right now. I we're fine 20 minutes ago.
then I started eating, and then the game was over.
So I've experienced both types of long distance relationships. One being that I was in a relationship with someone that lived nearby, went to same school and stuff like that, and they moved about an hour away. And that's equally hard to do. I mean, as a teenager, it doesn't really matter, but when you're an adult, um, just having to travel is no fun. Um, and the online relationship, the long distance one, is also hard because even if the person is who they say they are, you can't trust that they are 100% faithful or that they are doing what they say they're doing and they're not like with a secret spouse or significant other that live with them or something. You never know. The brain dead over there.
I'm listening to you and contemplating my thoughts over here.
Other pros is, you don't have that pressure of trying to figure out like date nights and stuff like that, like kind of meeting with your own comfort or hey, let's chat tonight at 8 and whatever. Um in my opinion, there's more cons to long distance relationships than there are pros. Um the only pro is if you do meet that special someone, then they are worth the wait. They are worth the long distance and the late nights of talking and stuff like that. But unfortunately for most people, it's the catfish scenario or the not so serious people that just want the attention more than anything. And then once things get serious, they just want to run away from it.
I I think long distance relationships would have been easier if we would have just stuck with pen pals. Technology has pluses and minuses like everything else, but I think the whole social media aspect where people can be whoever they want and kind of disguise themselves has, you know, changed the game up. Let's just say.
But like what you just said about pen pals, there was no long distance meeting before the internet, unless you knew someone that knew someone.
There was a whole snail mail thing when I was in school. They did pen pals and stuff like that.
For the school people. Well, no, I guess there was phone lines.
Uh
But
huh.
I don't. We were too young to know how that worked.
I'm just saying that it has completely changed from what it used to be. I mean, it's now everything's online and people are meeting each other that way. And it used to be, you know, pen and paper and, people you actually knew through a friend of a friend kind of thing. And now it's just everywhere. It's on social media. It's on, you know, different platforms, and these people could be anybody from a hole in the wall. Hell, it's on Twitch, it's on YouTube, it's on, it's like mass produced. You see what I'm saying? Instead of centrally, you know what I'm saying? Because of technology,
Right.
it's changed and adapted, which it makes it.
Well, the way it is now, like us being East Coast, we could meet someone from Japan.
Yeah,
Or Russia or wherever.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not just in your immediate vicinity and things like that. Which is there's pluses and minuses of it. Um, the plus side is, potentially you're talking to somebody from, I don't know, overseas or wherever it might be, um, which is kind of cool because, you know, be it this person is being legit, but you could learn something about other countries, which I have, from streaming friends that I now know. The negatives, like you said, are it's you have no clue who this individual is from a hole in the wall. You have to mind your what's that old terminology? P's and Q's. You know.
You definitely have to be more self-aware as well. And almost think about, well, if I was in that situation and I was acting that way, what would that mean?
Yeah.
Um And some people put on a front, a mask. Like they could be this sweet, funny person, but face to face, they could be a shitty human being for all you know. Um, like I said, in my eyes, there's a lot of cons to long distance stuff. Than there are pros, other than meeting new people or interesting people or whatever. Um, but nowadays, that's how people meet. The dating sites, the swipe left or right. Um, thank God we didn't have to deal with that because I don't know that I could deal with that kind of stuff. But I mean, that's how people are meeting nowadays. So it's more or less keeping yourself safe and not letting yourself open up so readily to anyone that you meet online. Um, but our podcast right now is mainly just focusing on the long distance relationship part of it. So the late night chats, the coordinating, when are you going to be home? When are you going to be home? Let's meet this time. It's even harder when you're not in the same time zones. Um, like for mine and Liam's example, I was 3 hours ahead of him, and he was a night owl, so he'd stay up all night and sleep in most of the day, and um, he'd be waking up as my day was coming to an end. So it'd be almost close to supper time for me, and he'd be waking up to have breakfast. So it is definitely harder coordinating that way. I feel like you miss out a lot because you're not in the same time frames, time zones, and um, that sort of thing. Um, some of the best solutions that we found as far as making it work was coordinating, setting aside time for each other to talk and have virtual dates or movie nights, or because we're both gamers, having a game night with just us two. Um, and sometimes we just sat on video call and just existed, watched whatever we were going to watch on TV or whatever.
All right, so I think you were kind of sharing how we engaged in things like that, from what I heard. I think there's more to that. You have to be. We kind of got kind of lucky because it was on Twitch. You know what I mean? I think I want to kind of dazzle more into, being extra cautious nowadays. I can't stress the fact enough that we were kind of luckier than most. Because it's like we said, you can run into anybody on the internet. Different scenarios are, we grew up around AOL and MySpace and all those different things, and um, at that point, you're just kind of texting somebody, and you don't really get the opportunity like we did, where we got to like game and kind of joke around and build more of the fundamentals of a starting a relationship together. You know what I
Well,
mean?
see, when you start with a long distance, when you start already long distance, you're building more of the emotional and communication part of the relationship over the physical.
Yeah, no, and I agree. But what I'm saying is we got kind of lucky because we game, right? And we happen to have been on Twitch, which is more of a, I don't want to call it a controlled environment, but it kind of is, you know what I mean?
You're more anonymous.
Yeah. Um and with that platform being, it's a certain age range, blah blah blah, and we had more. What am I shooting for here? A
Anonymity.
Yeah.
Anonymous.
And that's where you have to be more mindful of. Because in today's society, there are a lot of people out there that can kind of trickery around that. You know what I mean? They can be manipulative and be whoever they want to be. And I'm not sure exactly how I could, like, I guess I could open up the floor and kind of do what you did and kind of share a little bit of some of the experiences I have gone through, but I can't really give you like a cheat sheet or a guideline in how to.
Well, there is no set guidelines as far as how to manage a long distance relationship. There is no guideline. It's whatever the mutual parties feel they're ready for. Um, Again, internet safety and all that. So the best thing would be is get to know the person first before you start giving them your personal social media stuff or your personal phone number or emails or whatever if you guys meet in the way that we met. Now, some people meet on dating sites, they already know your number or they already know your profile or whatever.
I agree. I think for me, since you kind of shared a little bit of insight, well, I had to step away there for a second, and I apologize. But I think for me, I mean, I just kind of put the nail in the coffin. I mean, I already said, MySpace and AOL chat and what was the other one I said? Um, the other one?
MySpace, AOL, there was Yahoo Messenger.
Oh yeah. So throughout all those platforms, we kind of grew up on the stuff. You know what I mean? So for me, boy, I got to think about how many long distance relationships.
How many? Like there was a lot.
No, but I want to give a kind of a number. I believe it was 2. Had to have been 2.
You're making it sound like there was 20.
No. No. But I wanted to give like, a solid number and kind of like give a little gap there. It's kind of person I am. Anyways, I'm weird, but you love me anyways. So like I said, trying to think back, like I believe the first one was through, I want to say MySpace. Maybe both of them were. Trying to think. Yeah. Honestly, I can't really remember too much. But one of them was I think it was a Christian chat room where we connected. And I was in West Coast at the time, obviously. Grew up there. And this person was, believe it or not, in the East Coast. I believe at the time I was in my team. Is it cutting me down? Yeah, I got to start working on this mic. I don't know what's going on with it. I apologize. And I kind of move my head when I'm talking too, so don't bring my voice down. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got to work on this. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with it, but is that better or is it worse? So it's not cutting out now. Okay, so um, I was fortunate enough that my mom knew about what was going on. I wasn't the kind of person that would kind of sneak around or whatever. And I just opened up my mom. I said, I met this person and um, whatever it was, basic. I can't remember how it kind of went down. But my mom, talked to me kind of like, you don't know this person from the hall wall. You got to be careful. These kind of things. And so I took everything really, really slow. Um, it wasn't, it wasn't like you and I, where I kind of like went all out kind of thing. It was mainly just talking about things, and it grew and grew and grew, and eventually it um blossomed into talking on the phone, and um we played what the hell, mobile game at the time. um Heck, I can't even remember. It was one of them social um conqueror games, whatever it was. um Maybe it'll come back to me later on in this conversation, but anyways, I'm born and raised as a gamer. I've always enjoyed video games. So, um, but we shared similarities, and got to know each other. Time frame wise, maybe a year. Um, After the year, things kind of got hectic for me, in my life. And the conversations kind of um fizzled out a little bit on my end, to things that I was going through in my life. Kind of a rocky area in my teen years. Um,
Well, it is harder to maintain a long distance,
yeah.
especially when you're young.
I mean,
You have the mindset of you're not here, so you know it's like out of sight, out of mind kind of thing.
yeah, absolutely. And we had those conversations, because you're a teenager. You're like, oh well, I'll come visit you, and not knowing, the reality of the situation is it costs a lot of money to be able to, you know, do other states. It's not just, you get up and get up one morning and you're like, oh, I'm going to take a plane flight. It costs a lot of money to do said things. Um, and as I got older, I met Like I said earlier in the intro, I've met a lot of streamers and a lot of people that I've gotten to know through my gaming, and I came across another one, um, another lady, and through Twitch, and we started talking, and I thought she was a cool girl. Um, but as time progressed, after sharing stories and over time, obviously, um, it it progressed into her. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. She kind of showed her true colors. Um, to the fact where it kind of ripped my community apart. Um, I thought she was on my side, but I was talking to her about um, certain things, and she ripped through the community that I built, um, which was friends that I thought I knew. But she created ripples. It stung. This falls back on you never really know who's behind that.
Right. And she created ripples like trying to get people to go against you or trying to get you to pick her over them.
Both.
Oh,
I
wow.
didn't realize the flip side of it till it all actually. She literally called me one day. Her mom wasn't good. Called me when I was trying to her and never supported me. You didn't even ask how my mom was doing. Totally like ripping me apart. And said that at the time I said, I've done nothing but support you. And I found out some things through people that turned into my enemies, that you were talking badly about me and putting subliminal things into their heads. So, I've had, um, you know, different scenarios on long term relationships. Um, I've learned from them, um, fortunately. Um, but, others haven't been quite so lucky. They do the repetitive cycle of, well, it'll eventually work out kind of thing. I'll be honest with you, kind of have to take your like gut feeling. I can't really explain what gut feeling is, but it's kind of like if you've got that feeling to run away, you'd probably run away because I've had that feeling for the second person for a while, and I didn't listen to myself. 9 times out of your 10, your gut's trying to tell you something. Um, listen to it. There's a reason why they say that old term. Listen to your gut. You know, because if I would have listened to my gut, I probably wouldn't have gotten things that happen in my streaming.
Yeah, I found out the hard way that when you first meet someone, if there's anything that makes you go, I don't know about that, that's your early red flag.
Yeah. Uh, and as I've gotten older, I've come to listen to that a lot more. I mean, obviously, I'm no pro at it, and props to you if you are out there in the world. But it is true. I can genuinely say that as a whatever you want to call it, a key point. Your gut's telling you I'd listen to it. I genuinely would. Because these are long distance relationships. Sometimes that's all you can go with is your gut. Because you don't know who this person is. You're not seeing them face to face. I've heard so many stories of people lasting years, not even having a, a photo of the person. They're just texting back and forth. And
We saw that all the time on the. Now, granted, it was a TV show on MTV, but even on that show, like people were having these years and years relationships, and it's been maybe one picture or not even that, and they just go off of it, and that's something you got to think about as well. Is like it's some. I mean, if you're okay with that kind of thing, um, as for me, you know, I I went through the long distance relationships where, a former boyfriend had just moved away and that made it difficult. And then I met someone that online and did the long distance thing for a year or two with that. They're no fun. They suck. Like you said, as far as travel expenses and stuff like that, and then taking time off, and that makes it difficult. And then, when you have your bad days, all you want to do is come home and see that person, and they're not there. So it it's not something that I would have liked to have done it again. And I think even when we met, I told you that I don't like long distance relationships and that I don't do them.
yeah, I mean, I was up for it in front with you too. As far as that goes, because we've all had the experiences, um, be it positive or negative about meeting people that are not in the same state. Obviously, I mean, duh, that's our whole, you know, feel here. Um, but I think the key to or the bullet points we're trying to talk about is it's okay to venture out there in the world, It's okay to meet people. I think we just have to be a lot more cautious given the way that we interact. You know what I mean? Because it's all through technology, you know? Um, we have to be mindful. We have to, like I said, we have to listen to our gut feelings. Um, you know, um, it's scary to see that technology has advanced so much that we can do these things. It's a positive and a negative, I believe, because of the fact that people can be whoever they want to be, and they can share as much or as little as they want. They can make you believe this or that, and you're not sure of what's reality and what's fiction. You know, um, but I think for us, if we want to talk about that with us, I think it was different because we were a little bit more wiser in the things we did, given the scenarios that we went through in our lives and our different, walks and paths or whatever you want to call it. Um, I think we, without putting a too fine point on it, I think we did it pretty well. Um, I think we opened up in the right way. I think we took the time we needed. Um,
Well, we also took it step for step. We didn't just dive right in with the blindness of, oh, we're dating now.
yeah, which is what I did with certain people when I was younger. I'll be honest with you. But that's part of growing up. You learn or hopefully you learn or you wake up or whatever you want to call it at some point. Um, I just I just want to make it a point that not sure where I'm going with this. Trying to think of what I want to.
Did we do derail again?
Yeah, it's kind of been a day today. I only got a couple hours of sleep going through it today. But
So let's just talk from our experience. So we took it the right way, I think. Um, well, because I told you I didn't want to do long distance, and I still gave it a chance.
but I think the reason why you did though is because I was different about the way I approached it. When you would say things, it's not the fact that I agreed to him, it's the fact that the way I was saying it, the way I was acting, the way I was replying, it intrigued and it also informed you that I wasn't. Now, granted, there are people that can be manipulative and all other things. I'm not saying that I'm a professional or any of that crap. But what I'm saying is, it was the way we interacted with each other. It was the fact that I wasn't giving up, but I was being respectful at the same time. I think all of those factors made it different from all the other experiences. The fact that you wanted to stick around, the fact that you may or may not have thought that there was something there. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah. Um, I felt like we had that kind of. I mean, even in the beginning, it was more of a like a mutual friendship chemistry
yeah,
over a relationship. Um, because I was in by no means in a situation where I could have been in a relationship. um, but yeah, I think taking it in the right steps and taking it toward the right goals.
I agree. I think what you're going there is it was a slow burn instead of piling it all into one. Like you were just like head over heels somebody kind of like when you're, you know, growing up in life. You're like, "Oh, well, I love you." And like it's almost feels like it's I don't want to say forced, but I don't know a better word than to say that. Like it's you mean it, okay? You do mean those words, but there's nothing backing it up. Like there's a core to hey Dirt, how's it going, bud? Welcome in. Um, I hope you're doing well, bro. There's there's fundamental cores to any relationship that you build. And I think our core was strong enough in the way that we're interacting with each other that made it work.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that.
It wasn't like like when you're a teenager, okay, you are at school, okay, and you just instantly kind of fall in love, if that makes sense, with somebody. You don't really know them. Like the love word comes out so quick. Does that make sense? Unlike us, it was communicating. It was slowly talking about reality. Um, that's good to hear, Derek. It's good to see you, by the way. Um, it was all these little steps, baby steps, or whatever you want to call it, that built the fundamental foundation where it stuck instead of fizzled away.
Yeah, I'm over here nodding my head. Yep.
Yeah. Unlike when you're a teenager, I'm using teenager because it's, I don't know, where there's no core, there's no substance. It's more of you're learning and uh, throughout life you always learn, but I'm just using this as a guideline where you um kind of rush into things. I mean, as an adult, we still do sometimes, anyways. But what I'm saying is, um, it being a teenager mindset, things are more rushed because you don't have those, or you may or may not have those core basic value skills. Because you haven't been, I guess, for the lack of better words. Now, granted, there could be, other people out there that go through their whole lives. They're not as seasoned as others, obviously. But what I'm saying is, you're 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 still becoming an adult, and you're still trying to grasp the concept of how relationships are formed. So, meaning, as life goes on, you more than likely will get better at these core things because of your experiences in life. You may be a little bit more hesitant to do certain things because of the way you were raised or the interactions you've had with certain people. So going into us, it was I I saw a soulmate from the first time like I said, from the first time I heard your voice. And yes, I was very forward about it.
And I always joked you didn't even know if I was a real woman or not.
I mean, that's another thing, absolutely. But I think that, like I said, the way we touched base and the way that we were building, that's why we took the leap of doing the long distance. It wasn't just force right into it. It was the slow steps that mattered the most.
Right, which is the core building block
Yeah.
of any kind of relationship, whether it be friendship, professional, relationship, romantic. You have to do that.
You want to elaborate over there?
I'm just saying, like what you just said, that's the core building blocks of any kind of person to person relationship. Um, is there has to be give and take. There has to be compromise, you know. Um, there has to be patience.
I think even more with long distance.
Oh, 1000%. Um, you have to have the patience of a saint
Yeah.
to deal with long distance, especially if you have someone that um has a busy lifestyle. Or like in our case, I had kids, so I couldn't always just hop on a chat or go game or whatever. It was always, you know, or I had to cancel because something happened with the kids, or I'm running late from coming home from work, or, you know, and even in your case, like something happened, I got to go do this, or I got to go take someone in here. And, it definitely takes a lot of patience. And are you willing to give that person your patience for the relationship to work?
Yeah, that's a definite. That makes long distance relationships even harder. Because not only are there could possibly be um time zone changes. Um, there could be different work schedules. There,
Yeah. Yeah, I touched on that, we were 3 hours apart
yeah,
and I was 3 hours ahead of you. So you were waking up when my day was coming to an end.
that that was uh that was crazy. I mean, there were days that I was staying up, you know, my time, 6
6 o'clock.
o'clock in the morning, just so I could say hi to you in the morning and then go to bed. Um,
Yeah. 6 o'clock your time.
yeah,
9 o'clock mine.
yeah, yeah. So I could say, good morning to you, talk to you while you're driving to work or whatever. Um, but I think that it was the fact that, we would check in when we could, made the time when we could, um, and respected each other's boundaries. Because, this is long distance. You're just getting to know this person. So, there could be sometimes, like we had where we didn't talk to each other for a couple of days. You know what I mean? But when we checked in, we filled each other in on what happened those couple of days. You know what I mean? That goes in hand with your, being patient and things like that. That giving some bullet points there. You have to be really respectful of other people's space for long distance relationships because you're not. I mean, you're in their world, you're in their life, you're in their world, but you're not physically there. You're not.
Right. You're theoretically there, but you're not physically there. So even the smallest of situations or whatever that comes up, that person's not physically there. So, I mean, and that's hard because then, like you said, if we didn't talk for a couple days, trying to recall, well, what happened that you should know about, or what happened that I'd like to talk to you about, because that was 2 days ago. You know, um, that it's hard. It is.
Yeah, it literally is. Because if I can recall my past, long distance relationships, there were a lot of gaps there. I think for me, when you and I had those gaps, it was it was it was easier because we would actually, when we would, it was far and few between, but um, it was more of us letting the other person know because we had learned from past experiences about long distance relationships that we kind of gave each other a heads up. You know what I mean? Except for the random things that would happen, obviously. But I think for you and I, um, it was more of we also gave each other like our schedules and informed each other certain things were coming up that we may or may not be able to, reach out as much, which was really helpful with us when we were building, our core fundamental things. I think I can't stress that enough. If you are getting to know somebody long distance, um, obviously over time, doesn't happen overnight, but I think those forms of communication are crucial for long distance relationships. Knowing each other's work schedules, knowing um, when certain things are going to happen, um, hopefully ahead of time. So you're not sitting there the day of when this person's got, some sort of function or, a family thing that would have no clue about if you didn't open up and, eventually talk to them about. I think the fact that we did that made it even easier for us to be able to do it.
It gave us a baseline of expectations. Um, you know, that way we're not, like you said, we're not sitting there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon going, "Where are they? Why aren't they on? Why aren't they calling me?" Oh, well, I know that she works from this time to that time, or oh, I know he was going to go do this or run his job from this time to this time. So it wasn't. It gave us a level of expectations. And I just want to say, hey Daisy, it's all right. You didn't miss much. Liam's been sleeping through most of it.
No, I apologize, chat. I only got a couple hours of sleep last night. So did Ash, and my brain, after I ate a little bit of Taco Bell over here, I kind of like went into a coma there for a minute. My brain fogged up. So honestly, probably the first 20 minutes was more Ash taking the floor over here, and props to her, because I zoned out. But I think
Daisy said time zones are also an issue for communication. Yeah, we dealt with that a lot. Like, you know, there was plenty of times that we planned to meet or this is our date night or whatever, and something came up on my end or something came up on his end.
yeah, that's why we kind of touch base on, over time, it's fundamental that you open up and share, your work schedules, your times when you have functions, so that this long relationship, distance relationship, will be easier. Because, like I said, I'm bringing it back to the teenage years. I didn't know all that kind of stuff. I didn't ask all these questions. I, you know, would sit around for 2, 3, 4, 5 days waiting for the individual to get back to me, not knowing that they had some sort of family function going on. You know what I mean? And here I am thinking, oh my God, this person doesn't want to talk to me anymore. When reality hits in that, they had to go do something with a family member. You know what I mean? Um, Obviously that's, building a core foundation, but, I just wanted to kind of make that a point that, those kind of questions should come up at some point, because at the end of the day, like Ash and I have said, this is person that's not in your state. It's not, you don't physically see this person. You will hopefully, through technology, or even better, a plane flight, they come see you. Um, but it it really does help in these long distance relationships to be able to understand, what this person does on the daily. So that you're not sitting by the phone for, an hour or so, knowing not knowing that, you know, uh, they had to go to freaking Walmart that day. whatever. Or, sitting there for 8 hours, like, why all of a sudden this day are they're not blowing up my phone? Well, they're working. Well, if you didn't ask that question, you would never know. You know what I mean?
Well, open and clear communication too.
Yeah.
So if something was to come up, the quickest you could send a message and saying, "Hey, I can't make it tonight," or "Hey, um, I know I was supposed to call you 20 minutes ago, but this is what happened." Um, and it's forget. I hate to say this, but it's forgivable up to a point. But if the person is constantly doing that, then you have to question: Is it worth? Is it worth going through this?
Oh, absolutely. No, 100%. Um, and this is why it kind of fizzles out with the other long distance relationships because, uh, granted, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm going to be straightforward here. I was just learning, communication myself, and I still am. You know, as human beings, we always struggle with communications. It's the thing. But and I didn't ask the right questions. But that's why it fizzled out because I wasn't asking those questions. I wasn't, eh, you know, be it I wasn't um, seasoned enough. I guess I'll just say. Um, but yeah, those are some also some red flags that you're bringing up. Is if this person is always flaking you out, and let's say you've learned these things. This is their work schedule. This is maybe some event coming up, but in between those things, they're not communicating and things like that. There there might possibly be something wrong, or they schedule something with you and then they instantly flake out on you. They do it quite frequently. You know, um, those are some of the things you need to watch out for. You need to again, approach them, and say, hey, look, we've been scheduling certain things, and kind of be upfront with them and say, hey, look, this kind of hurts, and give them the floor. You know what I mean? Let them kind of explain why these certain things are happening. Maybe you can fix the problem. I don't know. Um, but if it, like Ash said, those are also red flags. So if it continues and repeatedly happens, you might want to, I don't know, think about maybe this person isn't right for me. You know?
I mean, even when we were talking or whatever, our relationship wasn't perfect. We still had our moments where it felt difficult to talk or difficult to link up and stuff like that. We got over those hurdles.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there is no, um, how do I say this? There is no, um, perfect person. You know what I mean? You're always going to have ups, downs, lefts, rights, and whatever you do. But I think the fact that we're trying to push here is that the fact that we communicated and at least in some way, shape, or form inform the other person that hey, whatever it may be, I was having a bad day, or that we at least tried to check in, right? We didn't just ghost. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But me and you also don't have that mentality where
That's
we
true.
ghost.
That is very true. I mean, there's different strokes for different folks. People react differently during different situations, obviously. There are, introverts, extroverts, and things like that, there are certain people that, have these long distance relationships because they think they can get what they want when they want, and then they can, kind of, not communicate and things like that. I'm just saying that, when some of those hard times come up, you know, try to be, as open as possible with the person and kind of why they're doing said things so you can kind of judge for yourself, if this is the person you're going to keep doing, you I mean, granted, over time, you may get to know this person a little bit more and understand them. Um, but I think that, if something is, you've got that gut feeling, like I said, uh, and you're feeling some sort of type of way, if you're at that point in the relationship where, things are getting, um, I don't know, spicy or whatever, you've got that kind of feeling that you're kind of, digging this person or whatever you want to put there. And things like that happen, um, and they're happening quite frequently, and you're sharing, your mindset, and the person's just not like, I don't know how to say it. They're just not getting it, or um there's no communication as to why it's happening. Um, you may want to be maybe a little bit more forward with them, or you might want to, consider some other means of talking to somebody else. At the end of the day, if the communication's not there, you know, this is what you're trying to build. You know?
Right. Your Daisy said relationships are not perfect. It's more important how each individual in the relationship deals with the issues together. 100%. It's how collectively they work through their issues and work through their problems. And if it's one person with the oh my god, we're having problems. You got to get on a medium together. You got to get on an understanding together. Um, and I know with us, when me and you started talking, I just flat out said my rules, my limitations. This is what I'm expecting. Um, you know, I didn't want. I didn't say I didn't want a fuck boy, but I didn't want someone that was just coming in just to get my attention and then leave when they got it.
Yeah, I think that, obviously building your cores, but if you're at that point where you're really into this person, I think you need to be more forward and upfront. Like, this is not a person that you physically are right there with. They don't know, or maybe you have it explained and that but they can't they can't physically see, you know what I mean? They they they're they can't given the fact that there's technology, they can't feel the emotions you're feeling. Like, yeah, you can call them on the phone. Yeah, you can, you know, video chat, which is probably better because at least you can see their face. But, you know, it, you're mostly shooting text at the beginning. Text can be misread, you know. Um, People get emotions when, you know, something is typed a certain way and you're not meaning to type it and have it them feel that way. You know, um, there's so many different things with long-term relationships that you could literally probably build a whole freaking podcast on. But my core fundamentals are, listen, if you're texting back and forth and you don't, if there's some sort of emotion going on that you're feeling because of that text message, try to maybe have them break down why they said that, and maybe put in some of your, like, hey, like, I may have misread this, but this is how it's kind of making me feel. I'm not sure if you're trying to get that point across, because I've had some times where Ash and I have texted each other, and now that we're together in the same, actually the same room now. um there are times when I shoot a text message and, later on the day she goes, "Is this exactly how you were trying to, to send this text message?" And
Right, because the tone and
yeah,
the inflection does not translate in text messages at all.
exactly.
I come off as a smartass, but in my text messages, I sound like a bitch.
Yeah, which I like, but that's beside the point. But no, she literally, listen, my wife, I wouldn't have it any other. But what I mean is, it's way harder to have a long distance relationship. It takes everything out of you emotionally, physically, because you're not with this person. 9 times out of 10, you're sending a text message to them because you don't have the time to be able to call them or to video chat because they're doing something or whatever. Um, yeah, Daisy, text messages are definitely a thing. That's one of my, like, downfalls for technology. Hold on one second, chat. All right, sorry about that. One of the gremlins came home. So what was I building on? Let's see. Daisy says, agreed, text messages can be misunderstood because if you're having a bad day, you might read something in a negative way when the other person wasn't meaning to be negative. Absolutely.
Oh, 100%. All the time. Ian was always like, "Are you okay?" Like, yeah.
Yeah. Um, that's why I say technology is a negative and a positive. Positive because you can get to somebody as quick as you can, given the fact that technology will allow you to do it. It's also a negative because 9 times out of 10, we are so freaking busy that we're texting each other. And I'm not gonna say that we fight about it because we don't. But I think that you're so tied into what you're doing, you're just like trying to get the text out so dang quick. And like we both said, we've both said that there's no feeling to it. So if you just put in the line, and then not explaining what the line is, it could be misread. That's why I said break it down with the other person. Like if you're feeling some sort of type of way, you know, maybe say, "Hey, look, is this exactly what I'm reading?" So I understand it, or did you mean maybe something else that I misread? Don't let yourself build up on it. You know what I mean? Stress you to the fact that like, well, this person's pissed off or whatever. Because sometimes it's just misread. You know, it's because they're so busy.
Good.
Yeah, sorry, misunderstood, not misread. Absolutely.
So we're gonna have to start wrapping this up just because the gremlins are about to be home, and it's gonna be even harder talking. Um, use those emotes to can help some. There's none of someone strangling another person, unfortunately. And that's me being a smartass. Um, so I think to take away from this would be open and clear communication, setting your boundaries in the beginning, like literally the first day that this person, one or the other, states, "Hey, I'm interested in you," or "Hey, I'd like to see how this relationship progresses." Okay, that's great. These are my standards. These are my walls. These are my barriers. This is what I want to see in this relationship. This is what I want to do in this relationship. This is the time that I can commit to this. Be upfront and forward so that not in a month or 2 months or 6 months the other person that did not agree to it go, "Why haven't you been available? Why haven't I seen you? Why haven't we talked?" "Well, I have a busy life. I have this and I have that." Well, that should have been said in the very beginning. Um Clear, open communication again, and having the patience of a freaking saint. Because if you don't have the patience, give that person the time to deal with their life on wherever they are. Um, it's just gonna make you feel worse as a person and potentially harm the relationship.
I 100% agree with all those bullet points you just said, and I don't think I could say it any better. Um, but yeah, I think that maybe we'll do a part 2 of this because I kind of scatterbrained a little bit. I apologize, I didn't have enough time to make enough notes, and that's not a good an excuse. But I think we need to dazzle a little bit more into it. Um, our next podcast will be next Wednesday. We will actually,
Maybe,
well, yeah,
maybe.
maybe, possibly.
We're supposed to be on vacation next week. It it definitely won't be at 2 o'clock.
No, it'd definitely be at night.
It'll probably be at night. And that's if, first of all, if we can even get the shit to work.
Well, that's true.
Second of all, if we have the time and the energy to sit down and talk.
That is true.
If we do, I think like maybe a quick 30-minute video on just family vacation
Ooh, I like that idea.
because we'll be in the middle of one and probably ready to pull our hair out.
That'd be cool.
Love to you, Daisy. We miss y'all.
But yeah, if you're rewatching this podcast and you like what you're hearing so far, me ramble and her give really good points. Just remember, subscribe, hit that like button, and share out the podcast. It'd be greatly appreciated too.
Just a disclaimer: we are not therapists, psychologists, whatever. We are simply speaking from experience and what we have personally seen in our lives.
Yeah, we're just sharing our forks in the roads, and hopefully that it may or may not help somebody down the road. That's our whole thing, and why we wanted to start this podcast. We were definitely not professionals at all, hands down.
In case you couldn't tell.
Yeah. um, but yeah, I'm definitely enjoying this, and hopefully we can do it next Wednesday when we're on vacation. If we can, it's definitely not going to be 2 o'clock. It'll be way later on in the night for us because of gremlins and whatnot. But yeah, thanks for everybody that stopped in today. Ash and I greatly appreciate you all, and it was good to see you, Dirk and Daisy, and whoever else is lurking in the background. You guys are all amazing, and we've
Much love to everybody.
we've hit 19 subscribers, by the way, as of today.
This is our second episode.
Second episode, babe. Second episode. Yep.
We're definitely, I mean, obviously with any TV shows or whatever, it's a slow burn into better stuff. So the more we go, the more we're going to get into. I would like to touch base on other stuff, and really dive into other stuff as well. So it is going to be a slow burn, but we are getting there.
Oh yeah, definitely. We're just building the fundamentals right now. We have a lot more things in store, like we said. A lot of cool things that we've been, kind of talking about here and there, and I'm looking forward to it. I really am. Like I said, we've been talking about this for quite some time, and we just kind of woke up one day and went, you know what? We should actually start that. And I'll be honest with y'all, like I've been rewatching them last week's, like repeatedly, and I was a potato, and you were the
What do you mean?
you were the glue that held the potato together.
Clue that hell.
I don't know what the hell I was trying to say there, but it's really nice to sit here and babble like I do with you, talk about things.
You just like to run your mouth. Now you have more people
I do.
listening.
I do love to ramble. If
Mhm.
you don't know me already, but that's literally what I do. I ramble. So have fun with that chat,
Daisy's
okay?
laughing. She knows.
Yeah, I literally do.
He just has more of a medium to ramble on.
Yeah. But no, this subject has really lit a fire under me. I couldn't wait to start it. And it's been a joy too. And I can't wait for us to like dazzle more and get in more and more. And like I said, we're just kind of building up to what eventually we want to get into. So yeah, I look forward to the episode, and we'll definitely let you all know. Um,
And when it gets closer to Wednesday, we'll talk about it, if we're gonna do it or not.
Definitely will, or we won't leave you hanging for sure.
All 19 of them are so worried about that.
You know they are nail biting in the hallway.
All right, everybody. I hope you guys have a fun and safe rest of your week. Have a good Easter. Easter is this Sunday. And we'll catch you on the next episode.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.